Hey, welcome everybody. This is John Paul, Dr. Speed Selling. This is the Raging Verbalist number 290. If you're keeping track, if you're new, welcome. Glad that you're here. If you're been a veteran, been around for a while, glad that you came back. Also, always hit the like button if you would. Subscribe so you never miss one of these exciting episodes. And today's going to be a good one, I think. Oh, no, never know until they get done, right? So, um, don't know about Raging Verbalists. Here's what you got to know. First off, I don't dive into politics much. Talk about something that really hits me, pisses me off, makes me think, yeah, got to do it, got to get a rant, got to get it out of my head. Hopefully, it's also useful information so that way you can have a better, more successful life and all of that. So today we're talking about cell phones and cell plans and all of that. Now, for those of you who don't quite get it, some of you do, most of you do. Everybody's got one. Everybody's got one of these things, right? You've got a cell phone, right? I'll just show you cell phone. And the point of today is to talk about different plans. Now, I'm going to be like one of these exhausting guys who have the matrix and they show you the different charts and what's good and what's bad. I'm going to try to open up your head about what's going on in the cell world and how to maximize your bucks and what you should be doing with your cell phone. So, first and foremost is the fact that the cell phone industry continues to change. There are three main carriers in the U.S. For those of you who have not been paying attention: AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile, and all of them have surrogates or separate guys that are reselling, or men and women, or companies that resell cell services. That's because they've kind of hit that saturation point. So how do you differentiate yourself? Don't want to discount the mothership, so you sell off excess capacity, have somebody else do that. Now, I've been using a cell phone for a long time. Got my first cell phone in 1987. Yeah, I mean, we're coming up on a mega anniversary in just a couple of years. And I can tell you that it is indispensable. And if you don't have a cell phone, then I don't know what you're doing anyway. It appears that we've hit long past the tipping point of where over 50% of all content from the internet is consumed on cell phones or other portable devices. But the most important thing you got to think about is that you have to have a plan. And I see people who have, pay as you go plans. Could be okay for you. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, maybe because you don't credit qualify, all the way up to some of these ridiculous plans that the big majors do. Now, I'm basically major free. I got myself out from underneath having anything with any of the major carriers. I only buy from essentially the virtuals, the reseller guys. And that's what we're going to talk about today. And this was precipitated, that means brought on by the fact that I needed to switch from one carrier to another. Once you, by the way, get freedom from the plan and the contracts, and let me talk a little bit about that. Anytime you have to sign up for a plan for 2, 3 years, first off, 3-year-old phones, nothing wrong with them, but 3-year-old phones are 3-year-old phones. So you're getting it somewhat, well, it's free, and you hear that a lot, but it's not free. First off, every state that I've ever dealt with, you have to pay all the tax up front. So I guess the states don't think of it as free. They go, well, you're going to get $1,000 phone. You're going to pay, 9%. Give us our $90 right up front, plus other fees and bullshit. So that's my first statement: is just be very careful about the free stuff, because free is really not free. It's a way to just entice you to believe that it is and get you something on the pay as you go plan. Got it? No, now there's a lot of different ways to do pay as you go. By the way, I have been buying phones. None of the stuff I'm talking about, I have no affiliate links. I know what's wrong with me, because most of the stuff people are say just a freaking commercial. I'll get a commercial in about my own stuff, but it's usually a commercial that is just veiled as a review of some kind. So if you go to a place called like Back Market, you can buy a used phone. I have now purchased several of them. In fact, the phone that I use every single day, I purchased used, and I typically, this is one of those, I want to buy it a year or two after it gets kicked up. I know, I just said 3-year-old phones. What are we talking about? But if you're going to get like an Apple iPhone Max thing, better, in my opinion, to go buy it used and all of that. Now you may say, well, how am I going to make those payments? Well, there's all these, payment services like Affirm and other things that let you break it into payments. Yeah, they're going to charge you interest, so just be aware of that. Still, it's going to be better than if you went out and got this locked in contract thing. So I can only get unlocked phones. I can then move it wherever I want to do, which is what happened this week. Now, I started shifting off of T-Mobile a while ago. I used to have 7 lines on T-Mobile. And the problem is that T-Mobile doesn't let you mix and match. See, I have some phone lines that are really parked phone lines. Now, what is a parked phone line? Let's say you have a really cool phone number that you want to have for a business that you've had for a while and you want to hang on to that, but the business has gone kind of like gone away, but you don't want to lose the number. I mean, I'm a numberologist. I don't know if numberologist is really a thing. Anyway, I got this fascination for numbers, so I always find a cool number. I don't want to lose that number. So what I do is I move them to a cell phone. Now, in this case, I go out and I buy a cheap Android phone, 150, $250. Not a great spectacular phone. I'm a big fan of Motorola Android phones. I know Motorola is the name. They're all made in China. And away I go. Now, in that case, I use an inexpensive plan because what I wanted to be able to do phone and text, and of course, as little data as possible, because that's the big deal today. So it used to be the big way they made money is they charge you for minutes, they charge you for text, they charge you for data. Now they just go, okay, unlimited talk and text, because first and foremost is that all of the younger folk, it's a whole bunch of them than me, what they do is they don't use the phone to make phone calls. So what the hell? Give them unlimited dials. Who cares how many minutes they're going to use because they're not going to use it. So anyway, I moved away from T-Mobile bit by bit, found different carriers, and right now I have, I think, 4 different carriers that I'm rocking, something like that. But the point of it is that you find what you like and then you save some money. I went to Mint Mobile. There's nothing wrong with them. In fact, I have 2 line. Actually, I have 1 line left on Mint Mobile. Let me correct myself because I switched one over. And at $15 a month and 5 gigs of data, that's not too bad. It's okay. You can make it all work. But what I found out is that I could then move to this thing called US Mobile. And I'm always looking to change for the better. Now, sometimes you change for the cheaper because that's what you got to do. And there are plans that start with tax about $7.25 a month. Virtually no data, though. Just keep that in mind. Now, here's a little side note, which is most of the time people don't understand that the world changed dramatically. There was a very odd cell phone carrier called Republic Wireless. These were the guys I think who pioneered this, and they made it as such that their code that they ran, that they put on your phone, only at the time, like this was even before smartphones, but their code would have to run on their phone, and it would allow you to do Wi-Fi, and it defaulted to Wi-Fi. It wanted to do Wi-Fi calling as much as possible. And I have to tell you, that was a little sketchy at one point in time, but it was great because they were cheaper and they would work anywhere. Now, the big guys sat there and said, no, we don't want to do that. We don't want to do that, until they finally figured out that by using Wi-Fi, like right now, most of my phones are going to use Wi-Fi in my house, because even though I can see the cellular tower, it's not really a tower. It looks like a tree, not really like a tree, but it looks like a quasi tree, but it has all these cell carriers on it. Well, I could go use that, but I can't, because even though from my roof I can see it, but the antennas aren't perfectly positioned for me to get a great signal. So I use my Wi-Fi, and therefore I'm not really banging the cell towers. So I'm actually helping support and build out the network for whatever carrier I use. But back to the Republic Wireless days. Now those guys ended up getting absorbed by Dish TV, and went right down the tube. So I had to move off of those guys. Now the point of all of this is that go find a carrier that you like, that gives you the stuff that you need at the least expensive price, but know which carrier you're going to eventually get to. Is it going to be AT&T, Verizon, or T-Mobile? Now, here's where I have jumped into this whole US Mobile, and no, I don't get any affiliate commission. But US Mobile was the first to offer the fact that you could switch networks. So you get your phone on US Mobile, and right now I have now added, I think my 5th phone is on US Mobile. But every single time you want to switch carriers, I want to go from the AT&T network to the Verizon to the T-Mobile because they have all three of them available. They would charge you like $3. Not bad. You find out that, hey, where I'm going to be, doing a gig somewhere, there's a lot better coverage of one versus the other, and away you go. Well, they've actually done something even above and beyond that, which is now they allow you to have not one, but two networks on your phone. Now, eventually, I'm sure they're going to get to where you get three. Now, the interesting part about it is that first off, I'm on the ultra unlimited plan, and yes, it's like $33 a month all in, still cheaper than I was paying, but T-Mobile. Now, I don't have all my lines. So again, T-Mobile, whatever best package you have, every phone has to have it. Not anymore when you have other services like the ones we're talking about. So I have one phone that has the best. By the way, that's my hotspot one. That's all of that stuff. So I would check out, if I'm you, US Mobile, and see if it works for you. Now, to get a secondary network, it costs you like $8 a month more. Now, that ain't bad. That's $100 a year, by the way, for those who don't do math very well. And that's pretty cool. So that's a good way to do it because it's all about this ever changing, evolving evolution of what's going on. Now, let me give you a quick bonus before we wrap up. And the bonus is this. So I'm driving through the mountains of Colorado, Utah and Colorado, and I need to make a call. And the cell coverage is kind of marginal out there in spots. I mean, if you look at their map, they'll show you that all along Interstate 70, which is what I was on, shows lots and lots of cell coverage, which is lots and lots of bullshit. It's spotty, the cell towers are pretty far apart. Now, when you're right by the cell tower, perfect. But I found this anomaly, which is that if you, again, this is all part of my evolution of how I make calls and do things. But if I used WhatsApp, I can actually call people using WhatsApp. They have to be on WhatsApp. I know that, but WhatsApp is free. And yes, I know they're probably harvesting data and organs for all I know. But WhatsApp was rocking away in Colorado while I'm driving around through the mountains, and the data was, not the best. I mean, I got one or two bars at best, and I was getting these calls done and made through that. So all I can tell you is check out WhatsApp on your phone. Don't be afraid to use it, assuming you have a phone that has enough data. See, that's where people get paranoid and scared because that's where they cut it back. That's why I'm leaving T-Mobile for the most part, is because I can get more data for the same or less money on US Mobile. Anyway, I know that's a kind of a long rambling rant, but I'm going to tell you that if you don't understand that if you're in business of any kind, that cell phone is the most important tool that you have, more so than your computer, more so than your pad or anything else. That cell phone is your lifeline because you now have not one, not two, but three or maybe more ways to communicate with the world because it can all happen there, which is why I say don't have a multi-generational old phone as your primary, and then move that along. And if you need to park phone lines, the cheapest way to do it, because I've parked phone lines for a number of years for businesses, just parking a phone line is like now 12 and a half bucks a month, and you don't get to use any of it. Whereas you buy a couple $100 phone, and then you buy a $7 package, as the Brits would say, Bob's your uncle. Now, before I let you go, let me just point out something that you might be interested in that you may want to do. And this is a shameless plug. And that is, check this out. You want to think about is going out and getting my book. Most businesses fail in the first 5 minutes. It just takes them 3 to 5 years to realize it. Position to Win. It's available at Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Books A Million, any place you get a physical book, you can go ask for it. You go, hey, John Paul Mendoza, Dr. Speed Selling did this. Most businesses fail in the first 5 minutes. That's all you got to remember, and they'll order it for you. Or you can go to positiontowinbook.com, positiontowinbook.com. Check it out. They're also available in every digital format that we can think of. Not everyone we can think of. We can think of more, but the majors are Kindle, which is Amazon, Nook, which is Barnes and Noble, and Apple iBooks. And if you do that, check it out. So do that. And all I can say is that it all comes down to communications, and communications come down to how do you get a hold of people, and phone, text, and other means of doing it are all done through your phone. So make sure you have the right plan and not be in a tough situation, and use it wisely and be smart about it. And for heaven's sakes, don't go paying 90, $100 or whatever it is for some ultimate plan, because you can get a lot more bang for your buck in a lot of different ways. And with that, I'm John Paul Mendocha, Dr. Speak Selling. This has been the Raging Verbalist, number 290. Hopefully you have a great week and come back next week for another exciting edition of the Raging Verbalist.